All right, let's try this now, folks, shall we? Good evening, everybody, and sorry for the issues with the live stream software that decided to have a mind of its own in the last second. Um, I've got Eric joining me tonight. Rodney is not able to join us tonight. So, again, Eric, we get to rehash. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic. I'm actually posting this new stream link over here in the old stream where we've got a whole bunch of people hanging out already waiting for us.
Ah,
But yeah, man, I'm doing good, as could be with all the technical issues, but that's life. So you worked quick on your feet and got us back up. But hopefully this new stream here will be just as good as the old one. Just give it a couple minutes.
yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you and I were talking for what, 2 minutes trying to figure out how come the chat's so quiet?
That's right. It's like, wow, we're live and there's no one here. But here they are. All right, I see a couple guys coming in. It's good. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll just kind of stall for a few minutes, let everybody transition over from the old one to this one. Again, for those of you just now joining, I apologize. For whatever reason, the live stream software didn't register that there was a stream right now, even after closing and reopening. So we had to open a new live stream. So, for those of you joining us, good evening, Joe. Thanks for switching over. Bebop, Mike E. Yes, we are here. We were here chatting away, but nobody else was joining us. I just don't get it. Good evening, Joe, Ron, and Dave. Thanks for jumping on tonight. I had it scheduled for 10:30 a.m. I did?
I saw someone had mentioned
Oh my
that.
goodness. That stupid
Oh, maybe
software.
that's
So
it.
yes, it did. 10:30 a.m.
Oh yeah,
All
I
right.
see it here.
Ah,
April 3rd. This morning. We missed it.
so yeah, I missed my own live stream. Boy, good
That's what the
catch.
problem was.
That's a
Yeah, so
great
that's
catch.
why it had no button to say go live. So yeah,
Yeah,
it works.
because I'm sitting here. We closed the program. We opened it, and usually it shows us at the bottom a little spinner, and it says, "Hey, here's your upcoming live streams that you can go live with." So yeah,
Yeah.
Joe. I mean, Joe, you must have ran it for me, and nobody sent me a message or a comment or anything saying that there was a live stream that I missed at 10:30. And what's up?
Well, yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Because so Joe had mentioned earlier on this morning. The message said live in 30 minutes. So I jumped on. I'm like, which message? Because I was thinking it was the email I sent out. I'm freaking out, going, man, I sent an email out wrong again. Because I do that sometimes. I guess that's a good way to say, hey, if you want to be on an email list to be notified when they go out, we don't have a way for you to join that right now. So I guess we need to put together a quick forum or form to get people on that. Put in the chat, I guess, if that's something y'all are interested in, like being notified right before the stream goes live via email, and we can make that happen.
Yeah, and in fact, I can drop into the chat the live at East Texas Homestead uh, link if you guys are interested in sharing your installations with everybody. If you're interested in the email aspect, we could always use something like that to let you guys know, because obviously YouTube's not going to help us out here. Um, so
Uh,
let's see here. Good evening, Jim in Savannah, uh, Platt, another Jim, Slickster, Mike G, Stephanie, Eric P, Doug, Richard, John, Joshua. Boy, I could spend the whole night saying hi to everybody. So, right as we get started, uh, I'm curious to know. Yesterday we had kind of a bad weather day throughout what seems like half the country. The terminology that was thrown around was a particularly dangerous situation because of the string of storms really through a lot of the country. So I'm curious to you guys that are in the chat. Were you in that storm's path? How did your solar systems fare? Are you the only person in your neighborhood that still has power because you have a solar system? Eric, did you guys have any weather yesterday?
Man, we've had basically like an eighth of an inch of rain, and other than that, and it's hard to even call it rain, sprinkles a little bit. I was really excited because I thought my swell was going to fill up, and I was excited to go out just watch it because I just dredged it out, made it deeper and wider and longer, and so I was like, I'm going to catch so much water, and it's been dry. So nothing, but I'm also really happy that we've had no major storms this week. So because not everybody's been so lucky.
Yeah, let's see here. Jim
Yeah.
said that, and apparently my overlay is not working. Nope, that's not it. Oh, let's hit the right one. There we go. He said that the storm slid right past him, which that's always, a big plus to hear. Eric P. RV is totaled. Shop and
Mhm.
barn damaged. Trees fell on both. Man, I'm sorry to hear about that. 80-mile-an-hour winds.
Man.
Man, I can't imagine. I mean, I know we had some threats up here, but nothing like that. So yeah, sorry to hear about that. Mike G said no problems for him, and he would be another one that I'd be very curious if those storms rolled through because if you're not familiar with Mike's setup, he's got a huge solar array by his house. So I don't know how those would hold up to some of the hail that I heard about yesterday.
Mm.
Dave said that his power flickered, but it looks like there's 20,000 without power in Columbus.
Crazy.
Oh, speaking of panels, Eric said some panels got chucked around. Uh,
Mm.
but but I completely agree with the last part of your statement. And most importantly, the family is all safe and fine. And yeah, we're all
Mhm.
glad to hear about that.
Yeah, for sure. So I
Let's
don't know.
see.
Maybe do you want to? Should we pivot just a little bit to like emergency preparedness for weather, radios, that type of stuff, or you want to jump
Yeah,
straight into
we
solar
can
questions? What are you thinking? Just
we can do a little bit of that because I mean, for I know especially for us up in Michigan, we're starting to get into severe weather season, and it gets
Mhm.
really bad. I've seen reports that on average, Michigan ends up getting like 12 to 16 tornadoes a year, and we're already at 10.
Mm.
So this is it just seems like it's going to
Can
be
be a
stepping
bumpy
it up
ride.
this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, Eric, from your standpoint, what do you do when you know that bad weather's coming? What do you prepare from
Mhm.
the power standpoint, from the home standpoint? Why don't you start it off
Mm.
with that?
Yeah. I should probably have like a formulated plan where I know this is like what I have to do. Plan of action. I don't, but basically what I do is I make sure that I have plenty of battery. So um, oftentimes, it's coming at if it's coming in the middle of the night, I don't have to worry about that because the batteries are going to be fully topped off anyway, just due to our charging at night on our free plan. But if it's during the day at some point, we'll go ahead and just top off from the grid. And so we end up paying for a day of electricity from the grid. No big deal. At least
Mhm.
we know that we're going to have power if everything goes south. So that's one of the first things that we do. Outside of that, we're paying attention to the radar. Being able to read a radar is so much more important than I ever thought. And just because sitting around and waiting for your local weather guy to tell you something's happening is almost always too late. So that's been really important to me and my family. My kids actually really enjoy um, watching the radar, something I never thought I would say. Um, and then also listening to the local storm spotters um, on the radio, utilizing our ham radios, and um, then just making sure that I know where everybody's at and we're not, all the animals are taken care of and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
that's kind of the down and dirty version of what we do. How about you?
I mean, it's almost exactly like what you said. If it's I'll look at what my state of charge is on my battery, and if it's under 50% and there's that potential for losing grid power as a backup, then
Hmm.
I will begrudgingly flip the switch and start charging my batteries from the grid. I
Hmm.
hate doing it. I really hate it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I would rather pay, like you said, pay for 1 day of extra power than have to be without.
Hmm.
And we'll go through and make sure the animals are all put away. And, we might feed them early if it's coming into the evening
Right.
time. And I'll grab my ham radio as well, and I'll tune into the spotter frequency. I've got a couple different ones around me,
Hmm.
and I'm also a ham storm spotter, so I get to jump on and it's as bad as this sounds. It's kind of like playtime, just because I love looking at the weather and I understand that
Yeah.
bad things happen. But reading the radar, looking at it, and seeing what's coming without waiting for somebody else. Um,
Hmm.
it's I don't know if I guess it's part of that preparedness mindset, because you can't rely on something else. Now, granted, you're relying on the radar not going down, um,
Right.
but you know it, it's still a time that I'll sit and stare out the window, or sit on the front porch and watch it start
Mm.
coming through. Um,
Yeah. And I want to point out real quick for those who don't know, and I imagine most in this community do, but if you have to have your ham radio license in order to broadcast over the radio, but you don't have
correct.
to have one to listen. And so like I don't have my license to broadcast, but for those who are around me who do and are willing to share, oh, by the way, the front just hit, 2 miles to my west or whatever it is, and we've got, this is what we're seeing. Because so anyway, so I can listen to all of that and I can get real time, immediate, up to date
Hmm.
information before they relay it to the National Weather Service, who then relays it to our local meteorologist, who then tries to send it out. But because I'm using satellite internet and I don't have good cell reception, I don't get that message anyway. So it's been actually very empowering and freeing to be able to listen to the real guys on the ground who are the ones who are making the calls, other than radar indicated, which is National
Right.
Weather Service's job.
I'll give you a quick story, and then we'll jump into how some of the other guys in the chat uh, prepare for bad weather. But years ago, I think it was like 2011 time frame, maybe 2013. I was home alone working out in the barn, and I knew bad weather was coming, so I grabbed my but back then I guess it was my iPod, um, and listened to a streaming channel that had the local storm spotters on it.
Mhm.
And I had it in my ear and I was casually listening, and they mentioned some cross streets that were near me. And I'm like,
Mm.
Okay, so I step outside and I look at the sky, and it's this greenish purple over my house. And
Mm,
f- as far as I could see, the sky was spinning over my house. So
mm.
I'm looking and I'm like, I then the hail starts coming down, and I'm looking, what can I put over my head to run to the house to get into the basement? The only thing I could find was
Oh,
a
man.
muck bucket, and it
Oh, no.
wasn't quite empty. But I grabbed that
Oh,
bucket, flipped it over my head, and I ran to the house, got down
oh,
into the
man.
basement, and then I start hearing them yelling on that storm spotter channel, tornado on the ground, tornado on the ground. And it was a mile from my
Mm.
house.
Wow,
And
that's wild.
that was what pushed me to actually get my ham license and start
Mm,
digging more into this weather stuff. But yeah,
mhm.
just a fun story.
Yeah, man, thanks.
So let's see here. Joe says he'll go through, top off the batteries. He had an automation set up in Home Assistant to charge if a weather alert is received, but that's turned off currently. I don't know why more of these
Mhm,
systems don't have a storm mode available that will do that exact thing.
mhm. So, I know that the EG4 software has it, but I've never looked into it because I I can't imagine that it is, accurate enough, for me to feel good about it. Like, I don't know what
Yeah,
the parameters are. Maybe if I got in and looked at it, because I don't wanna be like, "Well, we're expecting rain today, so charge from the grid," because, I mean, that would be every day this month. There's 40% chance of rain. Probably
right.
not, but
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I've looked at the EG4 stuff, never played with it because, as far as I know, it doesn't work with the 6000 XP.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I
It's in my
think
dashboard, I just haven't looked at it.
yeah, I see it there, and I've looked at
Mm,
it, but from everything that I've read, it just doesn't apply to the 6000 XP, which I don't know why. Maybe it's just something that they have
mm.
to enable. Um,
I don't know.
but let's see
Yeah.
here.
I like that
Steph,
idea, though. That's really cool getting Home Assistant to do it for you.
oh
Go ahead.
yeah. Stephanie said if you live in Texas, you should get a tornado shelter. Eric, do you have one of those?
I don't.
Have
I
you dug
don't. In
one out
fact,
yet?
no, I always talk about it. The problem is our water table is so stinking high. I mean,
Okay.
it's really high. And so, I mean, I guess there are ways to deal with that. I don't know. I really don't know anyone. My grandmother has like a safe room that's built out of concrete blocks inside her house, but outside of that, I don't know anyone who has a tornado shelter,
Hmm.
which is kind of wild. You'd think more people would.
Yeah. I mean, you guys have a lot of bad weather over there, right?
I mean, I guess I think so. I mean, we're not. It's not like up. I guess technically we're not in Tornado Alley.
Okay.
Just above us in Oklahoma, and but I mean, I don't know. We have severe weather, but I feel like it's just kind of it's the only place I've ever lived. I don't know. I don't know what
Yeah.
to compare it to.
Engineers love change. I love that username. I change my battery settings to 80% and charge from the grid or the sunny day before the storm. So I would imagine that's probably par for the course for people that have access to the grid still.
Mm,
Jim, my county is enrolled in a service to text and call when the dookie hits the fan. Uh, Open the curtains and pray. So, Jim, I'm assuming that means that you're watching as it comes towards you. Yeah, that sounds about right. Let's see. Looks like Eric's just chatting up about how uh, his panels became like the house in Wizard of Oz, flying around.
mm. Yeah, sounds like it.
A bunch of ballasted ground mounts, and those were fine. A few others went flying. Didn't see till they were assessing the damage. But they all generated power today. So sweet. So far, it looks like Eric's the only one that's had some weather.
Hmm.
Oh, here we go. Nebraska DIY solar. I hop in a fire apparatus and go storm spot.
Hmm.
That seems like it'd be fun to do.
Yeah, I got a buddy who does that. Just bad weather. It's like, get in the car. All right, man.
Let's see.
Yeah, now with all the tech that you can run around with and know exactly where the storm is, it's a lot safer than just
Yeah.
head toward the big cloud. Yeah.
Oh, so Jim did say real fast. He was replying back to my question about if he pulls open the curtains and watches it come towards him. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's what I do too. Even my wife will sit and stare out the window and watch everything comes. Mike G says ham radio is king, especially in a grid down situation. Yes, it is. And like you said, Eric, you
Hmm.
don't have to have that license to listen, only to
Hmm.
transmit.
Yeah, highly encourage people to get those.
Hmm.
They're not expensive, little Baofeng or however you say that radios. Just pick one up, program it fairly easily. Watch someone on YouTube. Adam, do you have any ham programming videos on your channel?
No, I don't. I end up diving into other folks' channels to try to find all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because nowadays they have computerized ham radios, and I mean it's a lot
Hmm.
more than just tuned to the VHF or UHF frequency.
Hmm.
Good evening, Brian. Thanks for joining us tonight, and Sammy as well. Mike says we don't need no stinking license.
Hmm.
FCC
Yeah.
is unfortunately the FCC is really good at tracking um, transmission offenders down.
I did accidentally push the button the other night just for a split second. And I was like, oh no, we're coming. Yeah, no.
Uh, so we do
But they
have a
do, yeah, they
first
do seem to have a building.
we do have a first question coming up from Jeff. Should a backup or solar system be grounded to the grid ground rod or on its own? Ground the panels or not? This is always one of those um, almost like a contentious area of discussion sometimes when you talk to people about grounding your system. So, Eric, what do
Mhm.
you do with those 6,000 XPs and those are the indoor batteries behind you?
Hmm. Yes. So I don't know that I've done it properly. So don't take what I've done as the gold standard. I do have a ground rod that's not far from right behind me, and all of like this panel is tied to that rod, um, and it is separate from the grounding rod that is on my house, um, and that system is plugged into that system. This feeds the house, but that main panel on my house goes to another grounding rod. And then a quarter mile down the drive at the well, it's not a quarter mile, it's close though, feels like it. We've got another panel, and it's got its own grounding rod. I know there's a potential of ground loop issues, um, but I haven't had a problem yet. So that's where I'm at. If I have somebody who can explain to me why it's not working or why it's incorrect, and I've gone back and forth. I've looked at a ton of pros and cons. Um, and this is what I ended up with. So um, that's me. What do you think? Where are you at with your grounding setup?
So I'll be commenting just like you. This is how I have my stuff set up, and this is just how I understand it. And I know that some people are going to say you're wrong. Some will say, sure. um, but from my understanding and from what I have found, everything is supposed to be earthed or grounded, whichever term you want to use, uh, to a single source. Because once you start adding multiple ground rods in different locations, there's potential for surges or nearby lightning strikes to hit the ground. Electricity goes up one ground rod, and then it goes through all your equipment to try to get to the other ground rod. And so it could potentially fry everything in between from A to B. That's why they tell you anytime you have long um, overhead power lines or underground power lines, you're supposed to have those surge protectors on both ends to protect both sides. I do have my panel frames grounded for a couple of reasons. One, because from what I see from NEC, you're supposed to. And if you haven't seen the video that I did, well, I don't know, it's got to be 2 years ago now. But my old EG4 6500 EX inverters, I don't know how. And I'm just going to say, I don't know how it does this, but it was somehow back feeding AC onto the frames of the panels. And you're going to say, well,
Mhm.
the connection points inside the panel junction box never touch the frames. I know that. That's why I don't know how it did it. But you could feel the static come off of that. My
Yeah.
son and nephew found that static the hard way when they were
Hmm.
walking by and their feet were wet from swimming in the pool.
Hmm.
So I have all those metal frames grounded, and then it runs back through to my main grounding rod of the house. So all I will say is do your own research and make your own decision based on your findings, but that's where I'm at. I mean, Jim says that
Mhm.
and here's a great example because Jim says that he doesn't believe in grounding the panels. And, you know, I'm knowing, uh, I guess I can't say knowing Jim, but learning about Jim, even through these live stream comments and chats and stuff like that, he kind of knows what he's doing. And so he's made
Mhm.
the decision after doing his own research not to. Um, let's see here. On the 6000 XP, I want to use the generator port. Can I do that with one inverter out of the two? So I'm going to leave that one to you, Eric, because you've got the generator and you've got three of them.
I do, and from what I understand, and this might have changed with the firmware update, but to me it didn't matter because of the way I do things. So I never really fully looked into it. But it used to be that you had to have all three of them connected through the AC. So if you're going to come in from your generator, you had to connect the AC into the gen port on all three or both of your 6000 XPs. I have, I feel like I've heard that that has changed. I can't say for sure, but to me, it doesn't matter anyway because I run all of my AC in from the generator directly into the batteries through the charge inverter.
Hmm.
And that's the easiest way for me to get it charged. I don't have to worry about those being synced up. I can run any size inverter or generator I want. Um, and then I just don't have to worry about, oh, this generator has 240 and this generator has 120, and if this generator dies, now I have to rewire everything out. Um, i just uh, i just go straight to the charge inverter. So um, I don't know if there's a better answer than that. Like, to actually answer your question right now, I would have to go back and check. Maybe Adam knows.
From the 6000 XPs, I don't know if anything has changed. I do know that there just seems to be a big push for that charge inverter aspect because it just seems to alleviate a lot of issues. I mean, it doesn't care what generator you're running. You don't
Hmm.
have to worry about combining multiple connections, going to however many inverters you have. It's a single connection point on the bus.
Hmm.
Flip the switch, start the generator, you're good to go.
Hmm. Yep.
Let's see here. Oh, we must have started something. So Chuck wants to know if either of us have lightning protection devices installed on our systems.
So I don't have like a branded lightning protection system. I do have. Let me look and actually see what it's called. Um, it's just it's just an Eaton surge protector, but it's the closest um, double pole breaker slot to the neutral bar, and to the main lugs. I don't know how well it would protect against lightning. I do believe it says it's lightning rated, which I think is why I purchased it. It wasn't cheap. I didn't feel like, but some of the other stuff was like really expensive. So I went with what I could get. I should probably look into um, upgrading that a little better. But I don't know if the question is more like around like lightning rods and that sort of thing, or more gadget um, inside the box sort of thing. And I guess you go both directions.
Yes, people tend to get lightning protection and surge protection confused because lightning protection is it's really its own thing. And that's where you do
Hmm.
have aerial rods that stick up high in the air to attract the lightning to send
Hmm.
it someplace else. Whereas
Hmm.
the surge protection devices are designed for the EMP type surges, solar flares, even nearby
Hmm.
lightning strikes. Um,
Hmm.
I would imagine a direct lightning strike, it's probably going to fry some stuff regardless.
Yeah, I don't think that little doodad is gonna take care of. I mean, every once in a while you'll see on like a YouTube short or something will pass my screen, and it's like, five different lightning strikes in a row, and like you'll see a tree, like a pine tree that's this big around, and it gets
Hmm.
struck, and the whole tree goes boom,
It
and it just
explodes. Yeah.
explodes. Yeah, it's like that's not gonna stop that.
No.
But if lightning strikes nearby, I'm hoping that it'll
Yeah. The
send all of that to
surge.
ground.
Right. Yeah. So I actually, I don't have anything on yet. I have, uh, I think I have four different surge devices that are sitting in a box right now. They're not doing me any good, unfortunately. I actually have to do a
Oh, they'll
video of
explode if they get hit by lightning.
yeah. I do need to do a video on installing them though.
Mm.
Um, I got them over the winter and my main service panel is outside. And so you really don't want to be doing this, trying to thread a wire into a breaker. So
Mm.
I opted to wait. But uh, at least, Chuck, thanks for reminding me that I have another project to do. We've got 59 people on the stream right now. Thanks for joining us. Uh, can you believe that it's already been 40 minutes? Okay,
No. Oh, well, I
35-ish.
guess,
Yeah,
yeah, we did have the slight hiccup at the beginning.
slight
You
hiccup.
know, it is counting.
Yeah, Dipstick put a 10:30 a.m. schedule on the live stream. Yeah. I did
Uh,
see something that I wanted to
close.
highlight. Where did it go? So Brian hit the 1 megawatt solar generation.
Mhm.
That's awesome. I mean, to
Fantastic.
think about how much power you save by producing it or capturing it, I guess is a better term, from the solar.
Mhm.
Um, that's a lot of power.
Mhm. There it is. I was looking for my applause. There we go. Way to go.
I know you've got all the
Couldn't find
sound
it.
effects there. Let's see here. Trying to scroll through. Do we have anybody? So I did ask about the storms. Do we have anybody uh, in the northern section of Michigan that dealt with all the ice storms uh, over this last weekend? I'm just curious because I know I've got some friends up there and I've seen some pictures and it's just gnarly stuff with all the ice snapping trees in half
Mm,
and just crazy.
yeah.
Looking at our comments on grounding and bonding, and some say yes, some say no, which you kind of expect it.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Boy, this comment stuff just seems to slow down when you post one comment. If you see anything, Eric, let me know.
Yeah, will do. Will do.
Oh yeah,
Um,
here we go. Mike said that he's finishing hooking up the all-in-one sand eye this weekend and working with Carrie on the remote LCD. He just put this giant it's a container. It's supposed to be a massive all-in-one inside his solar shack that he's got. I think he said 60 kilowatt hours of storage.
mm,
Pretty beefy of a setup. It's got what temperature control, MPPT built into it. It's pretty slick.
very cool.
Um, so yeah, if you guys can do me a favor, put a Q or something in or a question mark on your questions, that would make things
Yeah. So I was
easy for
realizing
me.
that from your perspective, Adam, or whoever's driving the ship at on this particular Thursday night, we do have the ability to search for a specific phrase and then see everything that has that in
Hmm.
it. So if we did say, look, we need like three capital Q's before every question, that'll just allow us to just go, okay, you can go into search, just hit QQQ, and then,
You never used that
have all
before?
of them in place. I haven't. Well, no, I haven't. Sorry. I guess it's been this whole time, but we don't have anything to like anything consistent that we say this is the thing we need you guys to do. So we should start building out whatever it is,
Yeah,
and then just make that a
standardize
consistent
it.
thing. Yeah, that would help out a ton, especially on nights like last week. Man, we had
Oh my
1,300 comments
goodness.
come through. I'm like, I can't follow. I can't keep up with this. So it was kind of nuts. It's a lot of
So
fun though.
let me ask this to everybody in the chat: was this your first? Well, no, let's do this. Was last week your first time in the live stream? Or is this week your first time in the live stream because of hearing about it? Maybe from the current connected newsletter or somebody sharing it with you. Just trying to see how many new folks we might have in here before.
Mhm.
tonight. We're up to 62 in the stream right now. Looks like 100. You guys are talking a lot because 160 some comments get to go through. Question. The VIX keeping it. Took me a second, VIX. Victron's keeping up with your needs, and are you keeping them? I actually, yeah, I've got them on my wall right now. I can see them right over there. At the moment, they are in standby mode while I'm doing some testing with these midnights, but it does make it very, very convenient for me being able to just flip one switch and all of a sudden the house is being powered by the Victrons. And, I had somebody ask me recently about the Victrons again, and I've looked at a handful of different inverters, and the one thing that I keep coming back to with the Victrons is I think I installed those. Was it a year and a half ago? Year ago? Whatever it was, a long time ago. I don't think I've updated the firmware on those things once.
Hmm.
And as a developer, I get the need for firmware updates. I do, because you're either going to miss something in your initial deployment or you want to add additional features. I get it. But a lot of these different inverters tend to come out with a new firmware update like it's the flavor of the week. That can be good because they're
Mhm.
catching things that need to get fixed. But
Mhm.
the Victrons have just been rock solid. I don't have to worry about them at all. I know that when I turn that switch on, they're going to run and they're going to
But
surge. So,
what happens when you realize you need to make sure that there's nothing in the documentation that says something offensive like pregnant women, and you have to
yeah, you going to
have to
share
fix.
that one?
It's your stream, but oh, that was interesting.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a
Mm,
inside joke with regarding a firmware update. So, yes,
yeah.
all full circle. I'm not planning on getting rid of the Victrons anytime soon.
Mhm. I'm seeing some QQQs and a Q coming through. So how about
Good
that?
deal. Here we go. So, Jeff, the 6000 XP cannot charge batteries with 120 grid input without solar, correct? No, they can.
Well, it absolutely can with 240, and you can function on 120 just only on L1 or L2.
But
So I
yeah,
don't know why
solar
it
is not
wouldn't be able to
required.
charge. Yeah, I think it should.
Yeah.
I've not tried it, but it should. Um, hmm. Yeah, I guess this is in regard to our question about, using a generator to charge, um, potentially maybe, or are you talking about through the, you said grid, so grid input. I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah. Hmm.
Looking at my question about how many times have folks been here. Last week was my first time. Ron, thanks for joining us. Jeff, third week. Got here a minute ago through the feed. So hey,
Hmm.
that's good to know
The
that
good old browse
even
feature. Nice.
even botching the live stream, it still has some folks finding it.
Maybe that's the key, is it wasn't scheduled, it just popped up.
That'd be interesting. Randy's been here a few times.
Mhm.
Brian just happened to catch it tonight.
Nice.
Nebraska DIY Solar have watched every one, but this is the first live. Well, welcome to the live
Woohoo!
one.
Yeah.
I did turn off all those stupid little, you know, hand wave
Right?
deal things that we had last week. Rich,
Mhm.
can I use one of my generator smart loads for the 6000 XP out of my pair? Will it work fine with the EV charger connected to just one inverter?
So I actually asked this question of the guys over at EG4, and I'm trying to remember their exact answer. Um, Part of it was test it and let us know for sure, but um, essentially, you can't turn on the smart loads independently. So you can't say I want this. Um, I want this. Uh, Generator port on, say, inverter one to be a smart load for this item at this under these criteria, and then generator inverter two to have its own set of criteria to turn on its generator port. Um, and for those who may not know exactly what we're talking about, so the ports over here, well, you probably can't see it. It's probably fuzzy as all get out, but um, when they shipped initially, the 6000 XPs came with a AC in breaker, an AC out, and a generator in. And since release, they've actually put out some good firmware updates that have allowed us to do things like take that generator in and turn it into a smart out, and then a couple of other things. But um, they they will turn on and off at the same time, but you should be able to, from what they were telling me, you should be able to utilize just one of them without pulling from the other. However, it if you're, let's say you're talking about an EV, if you're trying to run your EV and you're pulling 6,000 watts from that gen port, uh, and then you're running, say, another, say, 2000 watts across the entire unit of the two inverters, just through your house, your grid, or whatever, that's going to kick you over. And um, they, at least my understanding and their understanding at the time, was that it's not going to, maybe load share would be a clumsy way of saying it, where it stops trying to pull load from the one with the smart output, and just pulls from the other inverters. Hopefully that made sense. I do plan to try this out at some point, but um, you'd probably want to go ahead and connect to both of them just so you can share or spread the load out between the two. So I think that's going to be the biggest issue.
Yeah, I honestly never thought about the load sharing aspect because
Mhm.
even from using those smart ports, you're still under the system limitation of 6,000
Right.
watts total. So that's a great point.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh,
Now, if you've got three or four of them, then that might be a little bit different. But it just depends on what you're using.
Electric Eye says that he's never been here before. He's off grid, and this is interesting. Well, thanks for joining us tonight. We do this every
Welcome.
Thursday night at 8 o'clock. Uh, we
Mhm.
rotate through different channels, so it'll be on my channel one week, it'll be on Eric's channel another week, and then Rodney Hunt is the
Mhm.
third person that we rotate through. And in
Mhm. I
case
believe Rodney's on
anybody,
deck.
yeah, I believe he's on deck for next week. So, uh, Chuck, he's been a lurker, but first time on the live stream. Thanks for joining us. There was a question that I
Mhm.
saw. Here we go.
S
What is the
There it
biggest
is.
load that you put on your system, and how tight were your cheeks puckering?
Mm. Uh,
Your well
yeah,
pump
so
is a
on an
big one, isn't it?
individual yeah, on an individual, 6,000 XP, it would be my well pump just by itself. Um, it maxed it out and, did a the inverter did a great job. It didn't have any issues, but it had me, yeah, kinda Waiting for it to go down. Mhm,
and that was a single 6,000 XP.
mhm, correct. Mhm,
I've tried to run most of my house on a single XP, and
mhm.
anytime you first connect something, you always seem to have that, hesitation or
It's
pucker
yeah,
moment,
whatever that is, right.
and it doesn't go
Yeah, heart's
away.
racing, adrenaline's up, it's just like,
I
yeah.
mean, Eric's
Yeah.
done several different inverter installs. I've done several different inverter installs. It doesn't go away.
Mm-mm.
Um, but I mean, I've
Yeah.
maxed out a 6,000 XP easy. I think the biggest pucker moment that I ever had was probably with the 6500 EXs a couple
Mm.
years ago trying to run my forced air conditioner off that thing. Because
Mm.
you never know what it's going to do. It's not designed to
Yeah,
run something like that.
right.
And then you watch every light in your house go wow, wow, and you hear this
Mhm.
weird, like, it almost sounds like loud static coming out of the inverters, and then everything goes
Yeah,
dark.
it's scary. It's scary. Uh,
Um, we have 4 minutes left on this live stream.
oh, man.
Okay, we're gonna go 5 minutes over because I screwed up. So we'll go to 9:05 because yeah, that's on me for not checking for setting the time wrong. Off grid wannabe knows. Have you ever been stuck in generator mode with your EG4?
No, I don't even know what that would be. Stuck in generator mode. Hmm.
I'm assuming it's, well, no. Does that just mean like when it goes past the state of charge settings that you have set, that it's not switching back to battery power? And then I guess what EG4 are we talking about?
Mhm. Yeah, it'd be interesting to get a little more context around that.
All right, so I'm scrolling down. Let's see here. Roger said that it was his third week on the live stream.
Nice.
Miguel, watching from the beginning.
Yep. One
Um,
thing I always like to do whenever I jump on a live show is I always go to the very beginning and then I just two or even actually now I've got the option as a part of a beta program do like 3 or 3.5x, which is it's tough to get used to, but um, at least 2x to try to catch up, so I can start from the beginning, but then get to the,
mhm.
the live part. I like to do that. It's kind of my typical deal.
Richard's been on every live stream. Jetstream's been on multiple times.
Nice.
Let's see here. What are my impressions of the Midnight all-in-one so far? Honest impressions would be the hardware seems like it's pretty. Oh, I got a visitor in here. Don't bite the wire. Um, honest impressions, the hardware seems like it's rock solid. I mean, it really does seem like it's uh, designed well, but the software. We were talking about firmware updates not that long ago. The software could use some love. I know they're constantly
Mm,
making changes, trying to, fix things that come up, and they're trying to, add new options. Like every new product, you know, it's been out less than a year, so it works well. I've been kind of beta testing a lot of different firmware updates for them because I'm running my whole home with this stuff, or at least most of the home. So when I find little issues, I send it on to them, and then the next firmware update, the issue goes away. Um, but I really haven't had any showstopper issues that I would say, yep, they're coming down, they're going away. Unfortunately, I can't say the same thing for some other folks. Everybody's install's a little different, and I have heard of, a handful of folks that just have things that, for whatever reason, can't be repeatable, I guess. But I like
Mhm.
them; they work well. And the biggest thing that I would have to say is I never know they're running. The fans, even if the
Mm.
fans kick on, they are so quiet.
See, that's nice. So my inverter's behind me. Just before we started the stream, they shut down and they are quiet, and it feels so nice in this room right now because they're not just screaming. And honestly, they're not that loud compared to especially the 6000 EXs. Those were
Ooh.
crazy loud. But that low frequency hum was actually quite intimidating. But the this today's the first day, actually, since today's the first day since I installed these that we did not make it the entire day on the batteries. So I'm paying for electricity for the first time right now since installing the three setup here.
Hmm.
Shameless plug. Actually, I'm going to do two shameless plugs
Yeah,
right
go
now
ahead.
if you're okay with that. So I just finished up a 4-part series on installing these three back here um, with the batteries, the whole install, every single wire, every nut, every connection, every torque value, everything. If you are a complete beginner and you're like, I want someone to walk me through all of it, great place to be. And on top of that, I have an exclusive discount for 5% off the inverters just for this month. And I'm gonna oh, thanks. You dropped my
Yeah,
channel in
I
there.
I
I'm
dropped your
gonna
channel
drop
link in
a
there. I
thanks. I'm gonna
got
drop a
your
link to my site right here where I've got the information um, on that
perfect.
discount. So if you're interested in it, um, we have to do these little plugs every once in a while, or else we can't keep doing it. And
Hmm.
we gotta unfortunate part. It makes me feel awkward, but we have to. So Adam, your shameless plug as well before we end the stream for sure.
Yeah, I never like uh sharing stuff like that. But that's just me. Um, I do a lot of deep dives into products, somewhat a little bit deeper than most, depending on what we're looking at. Um, my videos usually are not any shorter than 20 minutes long. If you get a 20-minute, then you're doing really well. Um, Part of that's because I just hate editing the videos that much. And the other part, more importantly, is I like showing all the details. So I guess I don't need to leave a link to my channel because y'all are here. Can you tell that it's been one of those days, folks?
Hmm.
Good grief. But I'll leave a link down here to my affiliate link to Current Connected if you're interested in picking anything up from Current Connected. If you missed last week's
Hmm.
stream, we had Dexter from Current Connected on, and we actually were able to
Hmm.
give away a 6000 XP and a
That's right.
Lynx. Was it a power in
Thanks,
or is
distributor.
it that? Yeah.
Oh
So
wait, I don't remember. Maybe it was the power end. I don't remember.
one of the two. Um, but
Yeah. Yeah, that was a
that was
great night to be on live.
That was an
Yeah.
awesome night, and I'm hoping that it's the first of many where we can get some special guests
Hmm.
from companies on, maybe do some more giveaways. So make sure you subscribe and hit those notification buttons
Hmm.
for all three of our channels because we don't really have a set schedule as to who's going to be where. So you just got to
Hmm.
subscribe to all three. There is
Hmm.
one more comment that I want to throw up here, which I thought was pretty sweet before we go. So Jeff said that he sent a message to Andy at the Off Grid Garage about streaming with us. So
Mm,
that would be fun, seeing if we can get Andy on here. I know we've had folks
would
say
be
that we
fun.
need to get Will on here as well. We should have, harassed him last week when he was in
I
the
reached out to him
comments.
yesterday, and you guys need to go on Will's channel and put in the comments, "Hey, Will, we saw you over at on the Unplugged stream in the comment section. When are you gonna get on? Come on, get on there live."
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to have Will on here and anybody else. So, and also if you're a business and you're in this industry, let us know. We'd love to have you on and feature your products, talk about what you've got. So, we're doing this all to learn and share and grow. And I really love, I don't know if any of y'all caught what Will said on his 1 million subscriber video. If you saw that, pretty crazy. He's like, I don't want to be the only guy on YouTube talking about this with 1 million subscribers. I want more competition. We need more of us with 1 million subscribers. And that's the way we look at it here. We're not, I mean, yeah, we're in direct competition for link clicks to some extent, but there's enough business to go around.
Oh
We just
yeah.
we all need to
Definitely.
learn and grow. Man, we need to get there. So um yeah, that's what we're all about here.
Yeah, I put in the comments of his video. I said, "Watch out, I'm on your heels." My little channel's on his heels. So, yeah,
Very
unfortunately,
nice.
folks, we are at the end of our time here. I'm seeing a lot of activity. We're at 248 comments so far in the stream, 61,
Mm,
and we've stayed at that 60 plus for quite a bit of
yeah.
time. I see a lot of folks saying that they're commenting about sending messages to different folks about telling them they need
Hmm.
to be on our live stream. So thank you for that. We enjoy it, but ultimately, if you guys aren't here, it doesn't make it worth it for us. So thank you for being here tonight. Eric, I'm going to let you send off and then I'll wrap it up.
Good deal, man. I appreciate it. Adam, thank you so much for pushing all the buttons and being the one to fumble the start instead of me, because I definitely did that once already. Happens to the best of us. That's all I got to say. But no, it was good, and I appreciate it. Thanks for hosting. Um, and yeah, everyone who's watching, I just kind of mentioned that my big thing back here has been these 6,000 XPs. I did. If you saw my little cartoon I put out today, I got real tired of my walking in here, my window unit was frozen over again. So I'm yanking that thing out Monday, actually driving up to Signature Solar on Monday, picking up another EG4 um, mini split, and I'll be putting that in. So we'll do another mini split build, this time on the 9,000 BTU instead of the 24,000 BTU. So if you're into running your home air conditioning on solar, I got videos on that and I'm going to be doing some more on it. It really is cool to heat and cool your home directly from the sun. And these things do an awesome job. So as we're going into summer, it's going to be a big thing. Um, I've got a lot more products to review, a lot of fun things coming up. Um, Excited about it. Just really excited about the channel, the direction we're going. Um, so like and subscribe, check it out. We'll see you guys on Rodney's channel next week, unless Rodney can't make it again for some reason. Then it'll be mine. But that'll probably be where it's at. Back to you, Adam.
Well, Eric, thanks for joining me tonight and thanks for putting up with my antics and thank you everybody else for doing that as well. Uh, Now I know. Check the time on
Mm.
the live stream. Um, Thanks for joining us on Unplugged Live. We're just a bunch of DIY solar enthusiasts trying to share what we've learned and also learn from you guys as well, because in the DIY community, we all have to learn from each other, right? So
Hmm.
I will drop Rodney's link down into the chat. Like Eric said, he's on deck for next week unless he can't make it. So hopefully we will see you next week, 8 o'clock, for another Unplugged Live. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye, y'all.